This is the Sunshine Cathedral perspective. Greece legalized same-sex marriage despite church opposition. What does that mean to us? The Greek Parliament's landmark decision this week to legalize same-sex marriage marks a historic victory for LGBTQ+ rights in Greece, becoming the first majority Orthodox Christian country to establish marriage equality. The law, supported by 176 lawmakers, reflects Greece's commitment to human rights. The legislation, which also grants parental and children's rights to same-sex couples, signifies a significant step toward equality and inclusivity. Despite opposition from conservative factions, Prime Minister Mitsotakis hails the new law as a testament to Greece's progressiveness and commitment to European values. This news holds profound implications for the LGBTQ+ community in conservative countries. It serves as a beacon of hope, demonstrating that societal attitudes can evolve even in traditionally conservative environments. The Greek LGBTQ+ community's perseverance and activism offer inspiration to LGBTQ+ individuals in conservative regions, including places in America like Florida, where the hatred against community is on the rise under the administration of Governor Ron DeSantis. Though Greece has overcome an important hurdle, the challenges persist, with the legislation facing opposition from influential institutions like the Greek Orthodox Church and far-right factions. Overall, the Greek Parliament's decision represents a significant milestone in the fight for LGBTQ+ equality, signaling progress toward an equitable society, both in Greece and beyond. Queer God Squad congratulates every LGBTQ+ person in Greece. All right. Nice story. A lot of us were in Greece last year, and I don't know about the two of you, but I felt very comfortable in Greece with my partner. Not a lot of hugging and kissing, but we don't do that in public much anyway. So we don't.
So the public thanks you.
No, you probably could probably learn a thing or two, but just throw me off.
Subreddit.
So it's always that conversation about different factions going after a human right. What's interesting is that in Greece, the parliament took the lead. Here in the United States, our politicians often talk about equality, often talk about what's the right thing to do, and they leave it to the courts. And the courts are not supposed to be the ones that legislate. If our politicians would get off their butts and do their thing nationally, I think that we would have a better chance of making sure that rights that the court gives today and could take away tomorrow, and we've seen them do it so recently with a woman's right to autonomy, that everybody said, oh, this is settled law, this is settled law. No, it's not settled law until you make it a law.
The people who said it unsettled it, though.
Yes. So, yeah, we are a church in South Florida, and in many ways, we don't represent the brain trust up in Tallahassee, but our governor is just an amazing individual in terms of hatred. No, I'm serious. He preaches hate every which way that he wants, and he tried to bring it to the rest of the country, and the rest of the country said, take that shit back. We don't want to hear any of that. Our problem is he's still here, and we've got to deal with him for the next few years. But overall, congratulations to the Greek legislature, and congratulations to the LGBTQ+ community for continuing to push for equality all across the globe.
I just noticed that once again, who's trying to get in the way? The church.
Yes.
Yeah.
And which is too bad, because Eastern Orthodoxy is arguably the oldest branch of Christianity. Roman Catholics will say they are, but they're the same. They split about 1,000 years into it, and so they from the same time. So this is sort of the co-oldest expression of Christianity. Now, all expressions of Christianity are a little different than the Jesus way, which was a Jewish movement that included Gentiles. But by the 3rd century, late 2nd century, there was this thing, the church, fairly well organized. And that very quickly evolved, especially by the 3rd century, into the Catholic Church. And then about the year 1000 and some change, that became the Eastern and the Western Church. So this old and mystical, they've got some of the most beautiful mystical theology and some beautiful traditions, and it's just prayer filled, and you go into their spaces and they're amazing. They've contributed so much to art and architecture in the world. So you want to be really on the side of the Eastern Orthodox churches, but they are so weird about this gay thing. They really will not let it go. Even the United States, the Council of Churches, and in the World Council of Churches, the Eastern Orthodox churches were some of the ones strongest against allowing gay affirming churches into their unions. So it's too bad that once again, for all the church could have to offer, not just that church, I mean Protestant, Catholic, all of it, Restoration, everybody, that for all that we could offer, there is a witness in the very early beginning of the Jesus movements, the first 200 years or less, where observers, Jewish and Roman, Greek, that these observers of the movement would say, you know what about these people? They're so strange, these Christian people. They'll give you the shirt off their back. They'll give you the last crumb of bread in their cupboard. They'll take you in if you don't have anywhere to go. If they find you wounded, they'll treat your wounds and try to help you get well. These are the kindest, most loving people in the world, and that's what they were known for. And by the time that we've got, a strong organization and positions and blah, blah, now it's about power and who's in and who's out.
Yep.
And that's too bad. That's too bad that once again, we have a movement for liberation, for freedom, for human affirmation, for the celebration of love. And who's in the way? The MF Church.
Mighty fine?
100%.
I just, looking at the images that popped up as we were talking about the story, I could just imagine their joy in the celebration, equal to that of ours here in the United States when it happened. And I just remember when it happened here, it's like, it was almost that moment of pause, like, did they just rule that right there? Did we just, it's like almost, for me, it's like a pause, like, okay, the shoe's gonna drop. They didn't say that. That's a trick. It's just not gonna happen. And then, of course, it goes through and everything. And of course, our wedding is the next day. But just like, I just happened to the joy and the celebration of the heart-fought battles that people have made. Government led there, people endorse, church do what they do. But just for people who've waited for so long for that, to have their relationship, their marriages recognized and just that they can just live in joy and happiness and all the rights and privileges that they're due to. So that's the thing that I reminded in. So there's a lot of good takeaway from it.
There's a story. When we got marriage equality here in Florida, I think it was in January of 15, and there was a group of us that went to the courthouse to marry folks. Do you remember that and how wonderful that was? And everybody was so excited. Everybody was just happy and they couldn't wait for it. It was really a very exciting moment. But I actually arrived before you guys. And I walked up to the courthouse and dressed. I had my collar on. And one of the guards said to me, "Are you here to protest?" But isn't that amazing?
The assumption.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They had
Negative.
the assumption that just because I was there, I was a clergy person, that I was there to protest. And I said, "No, I'm here to celebrate. I'm here to marry people." Oh, okay, that's much better. That's much better. But there was that
So you didn't get
automatic
tased.
assumption. Exactly. That would not have been good. Amy and I did not get tased. Yeah, that would not have been good.
This might be a good moment to just talk about for a quick second why marriage equality is so important. My husband and I have been together 36 years. We had a ceremony at 5 years. We had a civil union at another point, and we finally got to be married. And people always asked us, well, why is it so important that you are able to marry? Never mind the love part. Let's look at what it means to be married to someone. You're able to visit them in the hospital without having to get anybody else's permission. Yep. You're able to own a home together without worrying about the family members coming and taking it from you if one of you dies. There are so many things that are inherent in marriage that are not if you are in a civil union. So marriage is important not only because it expresses love, marriage is important because it makes sure that what you have stays within your family. As crass as that might sound, it is extremely important that we're able to say what's mine is mine and what's yours is mine. Did you like the way I said that?
All right.
I do want to give a shout out also to an ancestor, Madame Sappho, from the island of Lesbos, and known for her sapphic poetry, which is, love poetry for women. And so finally, the place of her birth has legalized, how she lived her life and the community she built.
Yeah.
I also want to point out that in the book of Acts, in the Christian Bible, the Apostle Paul stops by to see his friend Lydia, who's running a sort of a sapphic community, a community of women. And he stops there on his way to Mytilene, which was the capital of Lesbos. So we have a little Bible story here about Greece and same-sex love, especially lesbian love. And so congratulations, Greece. Your ancestors are applauding.
Amen.
Indeed.
Amen.
Next up, we are excited to tell you about our next adventure with our Global Fellowship. This year, we'll be going to where the hills are alive as we explore Austria and Alpine Europe for Gay Oktoberfest. Space is extremely limited, so make sure to go to happeningout.travel/sunshine to reserve your space now.